Joan. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. That was pretty exciting. I was going through that and I didn't get any right. So I hope you guys did better than I did. That was kind of fun. Come back again tomorrow and we'll do some more. I don't think they got to giving away prizes, but we're going to be giving those away. So if you are on for the quizzes, you may get contacted by us that you want a prize. So thanks for joining. And our next esteemed guest is Joan Burleigh. A lot of people around here have known Joan. She's been in the business of financing boats for a few years. 30 years. 30 years. She works for Trident Funding, and she knows the finance business. So we're going to talk today with Joan about what it's like to finance a boat in these the pandemic time, and what she's seeing, and she's going to give you some tips on what to do and how to do it, and it should be pretty interesting. And please, we're here to answer questions. So go ahead and ask us some questions in the chat room, and we'll answer them. Hey, Joan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. Wayne, how about you?
I'm doing good. So you're surviving this stay-at-home order?
Quite nicely, actually.
Yeah, so you work in your office by yourself, right? So your social distancing is pretty easy.
Yes, that's correct.
That's good. And where's your office, Joan?
Over at Burleigh Bay.
Oh, that's
in
really
Alameda.
In Alameda. Yeah, that's really nice. I mean, she's just down the road from us. Pretty easy to get to. And you've been in that office for a few years.
23 years.
23 years. So if you've been around the boating industry, you probably know Joan. So Joan, let's talk a little about financing in today's market, and what you've seen has changed or is a little different. And also give us, just talk about what you do and somebody
Sure.
that wants to get a loan now.
Basically, the process really has not changed that dramatically. Some of the banks are a little stricter than others, but pretty much the same process is in place as was before. They might look at with a little bit more scrutiny at some individuals in terms of liquidity and job stability. But for the most part, it's pretty much the same parameters. The typical loan process is 20% down, 80% financing. Right now, we're still seeing some very good rates out there. People with scores over 800 are seeing rates sometimes as low as 3.99, typically 4.11. And they still have a couple of banks that will do low docked loans, which means basically an application if you're a W-2 wage earner. But most banks do require the full docs, which is year-to-date income for 2020, 2019, either tax returns, W-2s, or proof of income, and then 2 years full tax returns. It's pretty standard.
So we just got a question from Deanne Landers. Thanks, Deanne. And her question is, does the pandemic change the requirements to qualify for a loan? And what about the process is different because of the pandemic?
Process is pretty much the same. And the qualifications are pretty much the same. You do have to have very good credit, as always. Boat loans have never been typically very easy loans to get. So I think paramount is credit score. And credit scores now, good scores are actually a benefit, because some banks are giving you 0.25% off for a score over 800, which is fabulous. And as far as documenting the paperwork, it's pretty much standard, the same thing.
So not much difference.
Not much difference.
So 20% down. The interest rates are similar to what they were before the pandemic?
For the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
One bank has come down, which has driven other banks down. So the spread basically for people with scores over 800 is 3.99 to 4.11.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's amazing.
Yeah. What's the lowest you've ever seen?
This is the lowest I've ever seen.
The lowest you've ever seen. Wow.
I can remember years ago giving out approvals at 14.5%.
14.
And the clients were thrilled. That was 25 years ago.
That was what,
so
Reagan times?
Before
Or
that.
Carter? Somewhere around there?
It was a long time ago.
When I was a
And
baby and
people were thrilled at 14.5.
14.
So it's all relative. So this
Yeah.
is very good pricing. I think now is a very good time to finance a boat because pricing on the yachts is very reasonable. And I think it's not that difficult to get a loan.
yeah, so good news out there. So all you buyers, loans are available, good interest rates. In fact, the lowest that Joan's ever seen. And the same process.
The only expectation that you should be aware of as a buyer is that things will take a little bit longer than previously. But longer in this industry is nothing compared to home loans. We can typically get these loans approved, probably I'd say now in this environment in about 4 to 5 days.
4 to 5 days.
Which is very rapid.
That's great. So what makes a difference in the percent rate for a loan?
Largely driven by several factors. One of which is the client's credit score. The good scores drive down the rate, and some banks are even giving a full 0.25 off for scores over 800. Also driving the pricing is the collateral. Some banks are much more interested in more recent collateral. I'd say to achieve the best interest rate, you'd be looking at a score over 800 and a boat less than 15 years old.
Less than 15. So that's 2005 or newer.
Correct.
Somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm. We certainly do older products, but it's more difficult and not as appealing rate-wise.
Do you have like an age of a boat that you have a really hard time financing, almost impossible? Or
anything older than 1990.
So 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be newer than 30 years.
Correct.
Right. And then the banks are, unless it's something really special where maybe the down payment is 50% and the 840 credit score or something.
And we can certainly get them done. Yeah.
Then you can get them done.
Yeah.
Yeah. But generally, typical loans, 30 years and older is not going to get done. 30 years or newer, you can. You see price or rate differences as a boat gets older,
it's
right?
Tiered pricing. And typically you'll be getting the best opportunity. We're actually in contract with 10 national lenders. We have this wonderful experience being in contract with that many banks. We're the largest privately held yacht finance company in the United States. And so the banks out of 10, I'd say if you look at a boat 10 years or newer, you're definitely going to get the best rate. Some banks will go back as old as 15, but anything more than 20 is going to have special pricing, which means it's going to cost more in interest.
More in interest, you require a higher down payment also, or?
Yes, typically.
In a higher down payment, yeah. So sometimes a boat that's 21 years old, even though it's a lower price, may have higher payments than a newer boat at a higher price.
That's correct.
So you want to make sure that you're talking to Joan about those rates when you're out looking at boats, because it does make a difference the year of the boat. And also, how about if it's like a custom boat or a production boat? Does that make a difference?
It does. Some banks are much more comfortable with that than others. So I wouldn't say that is an objection.
Okay. So we got a question here. Do sellers of old boats do anything to mitigate the difficulties the buyer has in getting a loan? Um, well, I think that's something I should probably answer. Um, so we do see sellers with older boats, older than what Joan can finance, doing some owner financing. It's pretty rare. It's a risky thing for the owner, but on occasion we see it. It's not something we like to do because we really rely on Joan to really take care of the whole loan process. So yes, it can happen. It's really rare. In my time selling boats, I don't think I've actually done one of those. So let me ask. We've got a few other questions here. What if the credit score is between 700 and 800, and annual salary 123,000?
That should be fine, contingent upon the purchase price of the vessel.
So if they're buying $1 million vessel, that may be a little difficult, but if they're buying a 200,000, it's probably right in the ballpark, right?
It depends on their debt load,
Uh-huh.
what other current debts they have, home mortgage, car payments, revolving debt. So each each file is handled on its own, but certainly that sounds like a fine transaction.
All right. Got another question. You're getting some good questions here. Should a buyer get pre-approved before looking at boats? And is there a better rate for a newer boat? I think we talked about that already. Newer boats,
We did.
you do get better rates, but how about pre-approval?
I think that's a fantastic idea. In fact, I strongly recommend it because it's a much more powerful tool for somebody to be pre-approved, whether they're coming in, just starting to look in the process. But I mean, you as a broker, Wayne, would feel much more comfortable presenting an offer to a seller knowing that your client is pre-approved. And there's no charge for that. And then you can feel absolutely comfortable offering what you feel is fair.
We have a question. Thanks for that answer, Joan. We have a question. I think this is from Facebook. YouTube, sorry. If retiring from working and no wage income, what is needed in order to qualify?
Typically, retireds produce Social Security, verification of Social Security income, pension income, and also some banks actually consider portfolio and dividend income.
Okay, so what they should do is give you a call and you can kind of walk them through and see what they have and you would have a pretty good idea of what that is. Yeah, good. Let's see. Is there a minimum amount, percentage of value perhaps, or dollar value that can be financed?
Yes, typically the minimum loan is $25,000, and since it requires a 20% down, if you find a boat that costs $32,000, then 20%, the finance amount comes into approximately $25,000. I believe it's $25,600. I'm not at my calculator right now, but that will qualify.
But you have a calculator in your brain.
So the minimum purchase price should be $32,000 that you're
minimum's $32,000 and newer than 20 years old.
Absolutely. Right? The only two banks that offer that, we should really be looking at a product that's either 15 years, better yet, 10 years old. Right.
So yeah, keep that in mind. So Joan, you've been doing this for a while. Tell us a story.
30 years.
30 years.
It's I do it because I'm very passionate about boating. You meet very interesting people, and I find it to be extremely rewarding. And often I become friends with my clients. That's one thing that I think is something to emphasize is that We do offer exceptional service and pretty much hands-on. If somebody's seeking information about different marinas or insurance companies, we're here to help. That's the main message to convey, because it's an emotional purchase and you want somebody there to help you.
Yeah, so let's circle back to this pre-approval thing. You were talking about that. I was a little distracted. Sorry about that. But pre-approval is really important, and you don't mind doing that for a client, right?
Not at all. In fact, I think it's a wise method.
Yeah, so get pre-approved, and then you'll know where your limits are, and how much it's going to cost, and you can look at the expenses of the boat. You can have an idea on your payment, and we can hone in on the right boat for you. So yeah, that's a great idea. How about surveys?
Surveys, typically a survey, almost all the banks straight across the board now require a NAMS or SAMS certified surveyor with a sea trial and a haul out. And that's something that you should plan on. And everybody likes that anyway, because it not only protects the bank, but also protects the buyer.
Have you ever done a survey or had a surveyor that wasn't NAMS or SAMS?
Rarely, because you express these details to the client up front.
Yeah. We tell all our clients that they have to be NAMS or SAMS. Those are the two licensing agencies for surveyors, and there's a process for them to get certified. It's not simply go sign up and like a yacht broker, you just go take a little test. But for NAMS and SAMS, you actually have to work in the industry and be an apprentice. And so the NAMS and SAMS surveyors really know what they're doing. And we work with most of the surveyors in the Bay Area. We know them really well. And what we found with the good surveyors is their websites are really bad.
That's because they're so busy.
That's because they're so busy and they don't care. And the bad surveyors, their websites are really good. So don't be fooled by a surveyor's website. Have you seen that, Joan?
I haven't really paid attention.
Yeah,
I think that's more something that you would get involved in.
Because we had them off for you.
Thank you.
They never get to you.
And I think we should pause one moment for station identification.
All right.
We have a prize. Trident Funding would love to offer, Trident Funding and Joan Burleigh would like to offer the first buyer of a boat that buys the boat from Atomic Tuna Yachts and finances through Trident Funding. We will gladly give them $300 towards their Coast Guard documentation fees.
Wow, that's great. And you know what? Since we're feeling so good today and we're having fun at this virtual boat show, Atomic Tuna and Farallon is going to match that.
Fantastic.
So that's basically their title work is free, right?
That's correct.
How about that? So yeah, that prize is up for the first person that comes through and buys one of our boats that we have at the boat show. So it's a great deal. We have to thank Joan for coming up with that, and yeah, we look forward to having somebody buy one of the boats and using this great prize.
And maybe we should talk about an example of.
Yeah, let's talk about an example. Yeah.
So we do have, Wayne has a boat listed. It's a 2018 Catalina 425. Listing price is $399. And with that option, a down payment of 20% would be $79,980, and a loan amount of $319,920 gives you a monthly payment of $1,957. Probably some of your birth dates.
I'm a little bit older than that, but not much. So yeah, less than $2,000 a month, and you get basically a brand new Catalina 425.
Yes.
Boy, can I get that deal?
Yes, as long as your score is over 800.
All right.
We'll
that's
gladly
great.
get you pre-approved as well
And you'll get me
to
pre-approved.
make the process that much simpler.
All right, all right. That's great. That's really great. Yeah, that's exciting. And that 425 is a sweet, sweet boat. It's almost brand new. The people that bought it, they sailed it down to Ventura and back, and that's all the use the boats had. So yeah, keep that in mind. But we're going to do this deal with a matching $300 on the title work on any of the boats at the boat show. But that's a good one. We've got 12 boats that we're showing at the show. They all have boat show specials. That was $399 on that boat.
Purchase price $399. That's correct.
Yep, and the original asking price on that boat's $425, I think. So $26,000 or $25,000 reduction gets you under $400,000, and you're under $2,000 a month on payments. That's a great deal, and that boat is ready to go cruising. So cool, that's great. Joan, thanks a lot for that. Some people have asked me about the confidentiality of their information.
Absolutely. That's very important. Client confidentiality is extremely important in our industry, as it is throughout the banking industry. And we keep all of our information secure and private.
All right, cool. And Joan, you're a broker, right? You work with 10 different.
We're actually labeled in this industry. It's called a service company. But yes, we technically are a broker, and we place the loan with the best bank possible. We match this. We take a fair amount of time to do a very careful, tailored job, one based on the client and their scores and borrowing experience, and then also on the yacht. So we do not shop these because for two reasons. One of which it's hard on the client's credit score, and two, it's hard on our bank relations. So we very carefully pick the bank appropriate for tailor-made basically for each deal.
So if I'm looking to buy a boat and get a loan, Joan over at Trident or somebody else at one of these other service companies.
There is no other.
There is no other. Why would I go to Joan or why wouldn't I do both even better?
Probably you'll find that our service is very efficient and very pleasant at Trident. And we do have more banks than any other service company.
And some of them are the same banks, right?
That's correct. But because we give so much volume to our banks, probably if they see the deals coming through Trident, they're more likely to give it a positive spin.
Interesting.
And also we take a lot of time and pride in each one of our deals. Very much hands-on.
I've been working with Joan for years, and that is my recommendation for our buyers is to go to Joan, because Joan really works hard. She looks after the clients. We don't have to handhold it. We don't have to call her 5 times a day to get her to call back. She's right on top of things. So that's our recommendation. You certainly can use anybody you want, but here in the Bay Area, Joan is our prime choice.
If you need a loan, call Joan. Any loan, big or small. I do them all. Numbers are my game. Joan is my name.
All right, there you go. Call Joan. I got a couple more questions here. Does a pre-approval of a larger amount than the offer put us in a worse negotiating position?
No, that number is kept private. That is between you and me. So in other words, if a boat is listed, say the boat is listed for 200,000, I would recommend getting approved for 200,000. And then you go through your negotiation process and you come out, say, at 180. And then everything shrinks. Your down payment changes, your down payment gets smaller, your monthly payment gets smaller, and the loan amount.
Right. Right. Okay, good.
Good question.
Yeah. How difficult is it to get a haul out in an inspection during our current situation, especially if the boat is in a different country?
Now that's something I would ask Wayne about.
Yeah, so I think country to country is really country specific, and it's difficult to say. We have that right here with our states, between states. What is California doing compared to Washington, and even more so is county to county. Look at San Diego. San Diego, they have closed down San Diego Bay.
They just are reopening this weekend.
Are they? Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Here in the Bay Area, the yards, some of the yards closed down for a day or two, and then they were opened back up. So it really hasn't affected us. Other countries, we would have to, investigate. And I know James is the one asking the question, and he is looking at buying a catamaran somewhere. And of course, we have very few big cats here. So we're kind of looking for them in other areas, Caribbean, Florida, things like that. So it's a good question, James. And, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, who knows what's going on in the BVIs right now? I know the charter companies are all closed down, I think, although I haven't checked today. But yeah, it's a question, and it's something we just need to work through. And we'll do that for you. That's one of the things we do. Okay, do we have any other questions? Let's see, how are we doing on time? 5 more minutes, Joan. Tell us a story.
Tell us a story.
Yeah,
Well,
your favorite.
Catalina buyer, you asked me about this.
Yeah.
And I will specifically say it was just recently. This gentleman had a brand new Catalina on order from the factory. It showed up a little bit early, but we were ready, and he is just absolutely thrilled with his new yacht. And he actually keeps his boat over at Burleigh Isle Marina.
Oh, so you probably see him.
Yes, and he's just wonderfully thrilled with his new Catalina.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Another question that I had written down: what does it cost to use Trident funding?
In terms of closing costs, the closing costs are very minimal. Typically, the documentation for the Coast Guard, because that is a requirement for most of our loans that the boat be Coast Guard documented, that fee is $550. And then because I'm dealing with Atomic Tuna, I will reduce your closing cost from $400 down to $350.
Wow. All
this
right.
is a boat show special.
Another little bump here.
Boat show special.
All right, cool. We should have Joan over here more often. I think we may be doing these every week on Saturday morning. So maybe we have to have a little special slot for Joan to come over every Saturday morning. And
well, I was so impressed with how many people were on the docks. This is amazing.
It's amazing, isn't it? Virtually amazing. Yeah, it's really fun doing this show. And I hope all you, everybody out there that's tuned in and listening is getting some good information from this. We will be putting this up on our website. Every one of these little talks we'll have separated so you can go listen to any talk that you want. Joan's been great with us. Joan, how do we get in touch with you?
Quite easily. Probably the easiest way is by phone or email. My phone number is area code 510-749-0050. And my email is the same as my name, J, B as in boy, U as in uncle, R as in Romeo, L as in Lima, E as in echo, I as in India, G as in golf, H as in hotel, at Trident, like the gum, funding, all one word, .com.
All right. So Jade Burleigh at tridentfunding.com.
Yes, and I would be delighted to help.
Yeah. So give her a call, pick her brain. She'll get you pre-qualified and then get yourself your dream boat.
And you can be the first one to buy the boat here at the Atomic Tuna Boat Show and get your prize.
There you go. All right. How we doing on time? We're just about done with this session. Do you have any last tidbits, Joan?
No, I think we've covered
We've done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been great.
Thank you for this opportunity. I
One
really appreciate it.
thing I didn't ask you, Joan. I think you're a sailor, aren't you?
I am a sailor.
Tell us a little about sailing. What do you do?
I've been sailing here in San Francisco Bay since I was 14 years old, racing competitively with my father at that time. And I was very lucky, very blessed to get on some pretty exciting race boats. By the time I was 18, I was sailing with some pretty nice, actually, it was largely because of one yacht designer, Gary Mole, who unfortunately is no longer with us.
He was a great designer, though.
He took me under his wing and took me out on his race boat. So
Wow.
I had that opportunity. And then during college, I worked at a local sailing school and taught sailing lessons and then managed the sailing school. So I had lots of sailing opportunities in my life.
Yeah, so Joan's a real sailor. She's out often still, right?
Yes.
You go out a lot. Yeah. So if you see her out on the water, wave to her. That is a really good thing to see Joan out there. I mean, she may be beating you in a race, but still say hi to her. So we're going to wrap this session up, and our next session is going to be the liveaboard lifestyle. We've got a panel of liveaboards that are going to be joining us on Zoom and ready to go. So thanks, Joan.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.